Hey Bible lovers, I've got something that I've been wanting for many years, and this is the Ante-Nicene Church Fathers from Hendrickson. Now, I have to admit, there were some surprises with this that I was not expecting. To call this the Ante-Nicene Fathers is a little bit deceptive, I would say, because there's some documents that, number one, aren't from the Church Fathers and are known to be a little bit later, but they give a broad overview of the doctrine and theology of the early church, according to some. So I'm going to show you the ones that I have a particular interest in, because I've only read excerpts from a lot of these because I'm an imprint type of person. The best one that I have is After the Apostles by Annecy Bookbinding. This one has the Didache and several of the epistles of the early church fathers. Really like this, but I've wanted something a little more complete, a little more robust. Also, Word on Fire Catholic Ministries has an early church fathers book. I'll put that one on the end screen, but again, they're kind of chopped up and just excerpts. They have some of the epistles in full, but a lot of the greater work is condensed, and I wanted the full thing. So these 6 volumes here are the ones that are of particular interest to me. And these, they're kind of meh, but I got a really good deal on this 10-volume set. There's actually a post-Nicene Fathers and the Reformation that's available. This has over 30 volumes. But I just wanted these first 10. The first volume is the one of the most particular interest to me. It's got the complete works of Justin Martyr and Irenaeus, and it has the Apostolic Fathers. Now, the Apostolic Fathers is going to be what you're going to see in the book like the Annecy. It's going to have the epistles of Polycarp, Ignatius, St. Clement of Rome, and things like that. So really interesting stuff, but it's also really interesting. Volume 1. Volume 2 has the Shepherd of Hermas and some stuff that I'm not super familiar with, Theophilus, Clement of Alexandria, so a different Clement, but I'm really interested in that. And then volumes 3 and 4 have the works of Tertullian and some other stuff I'm not super familiar with, but I am interested in Origen to read some of his works. He was kind of wild, but still interesting nonetheless, and really had a big influence on early Christianity and doctrine. Now, what's really interesting about this one, these are some I'm not very familiar with, but right here is the Apostolic Teachings and Constitutions. And that's something I've only seen clips of, but the Apostolic Teachings is actually what's known as the Didache. And there it is right here. And I've read this before, actually multiple times in various translations. But once you get past the Apostolic Teachings, you get to the Constitutions. Now, these are believed to be post-Nicene writings, but the Constitutions are kind of like just a little code of behavior on how to handle specific situations, general commandments, how to handle covetousness concerning a bad woman. I thought that was really funny. So I'm not super familiar with this, again, because I've only read little bits and pieces, but I'm very thankful to now have the full work. And then, of course, this one I'm really interested in because it's got the Gospel of Peter, the Diatessaron, which I'll show you in just a minute, but it's also got some other epistles of Clement, some more work from Origen. But the Diatessaron is very interesting because what it is a very early, basically kind of summary of the 4 Gospels. So you can see it starts with the Gospel of John. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. But then you see it goes to Luke. So it's kind of a chronology of the life of Jesus, a combination of all 4 Gospels together. And I just thought that was really interesting to see, and to have something like that compiled so early in church history is pretty cool. But you can see they're kind of laid out differently in some spots. Like this one's in single column, Diatessaron, but then sometimes you will see them in double column with a little page break there. There's some references and notes on the bottom to let you know other works. And then these 4 I don't have a whole lot of interest in, but I do like having the complete set. These are guys I'm not super familiar with. Dionysius the Great, I wouldn't mind reading that if I ended up having time, but I'm still happy to have this entire set. The 12 Patriarchs, Excerpts and Epistles, Clementia, Apocryphal, Gospels, and Acts. Now, this is pretty fascinating because this has some of like the Gnostic stuff in there. It has the Protoevangelion of James, which is going to have some weird stuff about Mary. It's going to have the Acts of Paul, the Acts of Barnabas, several different acts of different apostles. These are all obviously not the original apostles, but still super interesting to have. Revelation of Esdras, epistles, some stuff I've never even heard. Epistles of the popes, different popes, and Syriac documents, just pretty wild stuff in here. Teachings of the apostles, and stuff that probably isn't going to have a whole lot of theological value, but it's interesting to have just because it's ancient. And then It's going to have the bibliography. And this just kind of indexes the set, but these things can sell sometimes upward of $1,200 just because they're out of print. Also, I am pretty certain they have a glued binding, so I'm not sure how that's going to hold up over time. I sure hope it does, but I am glad to have it. Beautiful cloth overboard cover. Love that spine work. Just an overall beautiful set. And it looks like it has Jesus stamped on the cover there with the halo. So it seems a little Catholic-ish, but I don't mind that, but I am super happy to have this. Maybe some of you are more familiar than I am with all of these early church fathers in this work, and you can let me know what's going on in the comments. God bless you. Keep calm. Jesus on. This is your Nicholsworth.